This is something that many students just don't appreciate, and that's having the right tools for the job. Now, I know there is a famous expression, it is a poor workman that blames his tools. You might think that it shouldn't matter how nice your binder is or how expensive your calculator is. It should be what's inside that counts. Well, that's a nice thing to say, but it's not really true. I mean, who've been doing this for like 15 plus years, if you give me a napkin and a half dried out ballpoint pen and want me to work out a problem, I can do it. But that's not the point. Yes, I want to be able to do it, but I also want it to be fast and easy as possible, with the lowest possible chance of making mistakes. If I'm having to stop to shake the pen and try and get the ink out and I'm getting frustrated, the math doesn't have my full concentration, and I'm just not going to do my best work. There's no way around it. So, what is in my math toolkit? First off, pencil. And no matter what anyone else tells you ever, you do math in pencil. Even good math people make mistakes all the time. And if you're scratching things out rather than erasing them, you won't be able to read your own work very well. And the teacher won't like reading it either. I go a step further than that. I say you do math with a mechanical pencil. Why? Because sharpening pencils sucks. You're in the middle of doing some questions, your pencil is dull, you have to stop, you have to look for a sharpener, it breaks your concentration, and if you don't know where the sharpener is, you might be wasting 5 minutes on that scavenger hunt. I mean, it's just not a good use of your time. Also, as the pencil is getting duller, the lines are getting thicker and your writing is getting harder to read. A mechanical pencil is always just as sharp all the time, no matter what. And when you get them, don't get the cheap disposable ones. Get one you can refill. And make sure you have lead. They come in 3 sizes. The most common is 0.5, which means half a millimeter thick. They also have 0.7, a little thicker, so 7/10 of a millimeter. And it's thicker, which means it breaks less often. If you hunt, you can find ones that are 0.9 lead, 9/10, but those are rare. So for most practical purposes, if you're just going to the office supply store, 0.7 is good enough for just about everyone. And most people know with those pencils that the way you refill them is you pull out the eraser, which means if you use that eraser too much and you can't grab it, you can't refill your pencil. So you should have a separate eraser. Now, these cost like $1, and it is physically impossible to use up an entire one in a human lifetime. But they're able to sell them for cheap because they sell a lot of them. Because people lose them all the time. I mean, I go through like 3 a year, although that's mostly because my students, borrow them. But they're definitely worth having. Now, the next thing you want is a clear plastic ruler. Doesn't matter inches, centimeters, nobody cares because you never actually measure anything in math. But you want to have it handy for when you have to draw a diagram and you want it to be easy to read. The plastic ones are better than the metal ones that have cork on the bottom because they're sort of raised up. Your pencil slips underneath. It means it's harder to draw straight lines where you want them, like line them up with the lines on the graph paper. The plastic ones sit flat on the page, so they're a little bit easier. The same thing, when you're looking for a pencil sharpener, you think I need to draw this diagram. I could spend 3 minutes looking for my ruler, or I could just do freehand and hope that it's okay. But then you have this problem where your diagram is messier than it should be, it's harder to read, you might make a mistake, so you should not give yourself that option. Before you start the homework, just have the ruler just be right there. I mean, for me, I just have a pocket in my bag which always has the pencil, spare lead, eraser, ruler, calculator, and a pencil sharpener, because I have students who still use pencils who don't take my advice. But they're just there. I mean, you could stop me in the street and ask me for help on a question, and I could do it. Well, actually, sorry, I don't have the paper with me, but if you bring paper, then I've got the rest. You don't need anything else. Well, sorry, yes, you do need a calculator, but that's another video. Do you need a compass? No. Do you need a protractor? No. Well, maybe in science when you're doing optics, but whatever. You might actually want colored pencils. I mean, some diagrams get complicated and confusing with lots of numbers and information on them. So if you have a couple of different colors handy, so you can have, your pencil and a red and a green or something like that, you can make things more clear. Of course, that means you still need a sharpener, but, whatever. But if you look at the diagrams and think they're confusing, getting a dozen pencil crayons to make sure some of the lines are different colors is easy. I mean, look at it this way. The textbooks have diagrams in multiple colors. The channels that make YouTube animations have diagrams in multiple colors. It just makes things easier to understand so your eye can pick out things that pop. So just again, mechanical pencil, eraser, ruler, calculator. See you in the next video. And you want it to be your stuff, and you want to not lose it. We all know those people who are always asking, can I borrow a pencil? I ran out of paper. The ruler is one of those triangle ones from the math set, meaning that they started off with the good one but lost it, and they're kind of making their way through until they have to buy another math set. You want to be not those people. And I know it's not at all obvious, how having a mechanical pencil all of a sudden makes math easier. Having good stuff and having it ready means you can get to work faster. Not having to go sharpen your pencil means your work just gets a little bit easier. It's easier to concentrate. Your work is easier to read. The pencil is always sharp, so your work is not taking up as much space. Your page is more organized. You have a ruler so you can follow your own diagrams more easily. That little stuff will start to add up very, very quickly. And maybe you're nervous this is a lot of money. I mean, $12 for a mechanical pencil is a lot of money if you're going to lose it in 2 weeks. But if you're going to keep it for a whole school year or 2 or 3, then it's nothing. And think about what that translates to into studying. If I'm the kind of person who can't go 4 days without losing his pencil, in what universe do I expect to be getting 80s and 90s on a test in high school? That just doesn't really make sense. So when you're talking about getting better at doing math, it means pretty much changing the whole way you approach your studying. And that is going to start with having the right tools.